Day for Tiffany Henyard's replacement in the south suburbs. The township salary ordinance says a first-term supervisor should be paid $57,000.
So why is the new supervisor still bringing home six figures?
Is there a Tiffany Henyard 2.0? She's only been out of office for a few months, so it's still too early to tell. But her successor as Thornton Township supervisor is off to an interesting start. Hi, I'm Ben Bradley. If you've followed our WGN Investigates reports for the past 2 years, you know South suburban residents have been through a lot. They picked up the tab for first-class travel, fancy meals, and more under Tiffany Henyard. When voters gave her the boot, a more seasoned politician took the reins. State Senator Napoleon Harris helped engineer her ouster and took the supervisor's job for himself.
This is the professional Democratic machine, tried and tested, and it appears that they have taken hold of Thornton Township.
All right, so you guys know the Tiffany Henyard story. She was essentially a crook. She ran the town into the ground, and eventually they were able to vote her out. And now they have her replacement. And her replacement was former NFL linebacker Napoleon Harris.
We're going to return to tonight's suburban elections, and it was a big night for opponents of soon-to-be former Dalton Mayor Tiffany Henyard.
Yes, Jason House, who beat her in a primary, wins at the Dalton mayor's seat in a landslide, and State Senator Napoleon Harris, who successfully kept her off the ballot in Thornton Township, will take over now.
Thornton Township, can y'all hear me? I say Thornton Township, can you hear me? Thornton Township, y'all came and y'all showed out today. Y'all showed out today. I'm extremely proud of each and every one of you guys in the room. My name is Napoleon Harris, if y'all didn't know.
Here's a quick word from the sponsor of this video, FlexiSpot. So, I spend about 6 to 8 hours a day at a desk, and this desk doesn't move. It's essentially like a stone. And the sad part about it, I can only use it sitting in a chair. I can't really stand because it's just too low. Now enter the FlexiSpot E7 Pro. All the parts you need, no mystery screws hiding under the couch, and it snaps together in minutes. Now the great thing about it, one tap, it moves up. Another tap, it moves down. Stand, I can sit, hell, I can do jumping jacks, and it won't affect my workflow. And this table holds up to 440 pounds of gear. If you have 440 pounds of gear, you got a lot of gear, but this will hold it just in case you need the extra weight. Now, since I've been using the table, I've been shooting some videos standing, and it keeps me hyped, focused. FlexiSpot nails them on both, and it doesn't drain my pocket. Now, FlexiSpot is so confident you'll love this table, they'll give you a 15-year warranty and 30 days to return it if you're not feeling it. Now, head to FlexiSpot, grab the E7 Pro, and use promo code YTE7P50. That'll get you $50 off. Now, back to the video. Okay, so Napoleon Harris is now supervisor, and the supervisor's starting salary is $57,000. Now that's a lot less than $220-something thousand that Tiffany Henyard was making. And the reason why is Thornton Township has this process in which if you become supervisor of the township, you have to be reelected a certain amount of times before you get the real big money. And on top of that, if you don't remember, Tiffany Henyard passed an ordinance when she was Thornton Township supervisor that said if she was to win the election, she would keep her salary. But if she was to lose the election, the salary would be dramatically decreased.
Sneaky move to keep a controversial township supervisor in power. In part 2 of our investigative series, the mayor of Dalton, who's also the Thornton Township supervisor, cements her salary with a last-minute vote.
2 weeks ago, the township board passed an ordinance that allows Henyard to continue collecting her $224,000 a year salary. But if anyone other than Henyard gets the job, the ordinance resets that salary to $25,000 a year.
So now, Napoleon Harris, he got in there, and he was like, 25,000? You must be crazy. But to be fair, the board at Thornton Township actually raised the salary to $57,000, the starting salary, and Napoleon Harris was like, I'm not doing it. Now, mind you, this job is a part-time job, so he's making $57,000. And he's also a state senator who's also making money doing that. So he's got two part-time jobs. The state senator job is $100,000 part-time, and this one is $50,000 part-time, but he wants more. So look at I don't know if I want to call it corruption because it sounds pretty corrupt, but let's listen to how he was able to make that happen.
Help me understand why you're still taking in Tiffany Henyard type money.
There's a law on the books that we cannot change anybody's salary.
How that law came to be is a lesson in political maneuvering. Tiffany Henyard made $202,000 a year, plus other perks. As a first-term supervisor, the salary ordinance said Harris was to make $57,000 plus expenses. A lawmaker in Springfield proposed a bill to restore the higher salary structure. His name? State Senator Napoleon Harris. Even before he was elected supervisor, he was laying the groundwork to protect the perk. One problem, his bill died. It did not pass.
All right, so why is this bill important? Well, see, state law overrides anything that happens at Thornton Township. So if Napoleon Harris, who's a state senator, can pass a state law overriding the salary requirements at Thornton Township, then he'd be safe and he could make that $200,000. But as you saw, they weren't going for it. So he was able to sneak it in under the Crohn's and Colitis Awareness Week, where the state legislature passes this, hey, we're going to let people be aware of Crohn's disease. And Napoleon Harris was able to have one of his colleagues slip in that same language so he can keep his $200,000 salary. And again, you're looking at the bill. It's all about Crohn's disease, but in the fine print, you see this language.
And is it a state law? Help me understand which law are you talking about?
It is a state law.
Because I looked up that state law and it said it didn't pass.
You cannot change a salary during the term of your term.
But that's the state law you proposed last year.
No, that's not what I proposed.
What did you propose?
That state law has been on the books. I didn't propose anything.
Not quite. Here's the language in Harris's bill. And here's the language in the one that later advanced and passed by a different legislator. It's identical. And did we mention it was buried on page 90 of a bill that began by focusing on Crohn's and colitis disease?
So we understand what Napoleon Harris did here. Let's read the language of the law. Supervisor elected or appointed provides that an ordinance establishing compensation, including an increase or decrease in a supervisor's compensation, shall apply uniformly to the supervisors whose term starts after enactment of the compensation ordinance. Prohibits a township from decreasing the salary for a person elected as supervisor of a township while maintaining the salary of an incumbent. So, the law that we were talking about, the ordinance that we were talking about that Tiffany Henyard passed, did exactly that. It decreased the salary for a person elected as supervisor while maintaining her salary as the incumbent. If she wins, she keeps the salary. If she loses, the salary would decrease.
That allows Henyard to continue collecting her $224,000 a year salary. But if anyone other than Henyard gets the job, the ordinance resets that salary to $25,000 a year.
And then this last sentence is the kicker. Provides that an ordinance that violates the provision is null and void. Meaning that ordinance where Tiffany Henyard lowered the salary if she lost is null and void. And now Napoleon Harris gets the same salary as Tiffany Henyard, and it can't be decreased. All right, so we read that. Now, based off the law, how much is Napoleon Harris actually taking in right now? This is it.
Thanks to the legislative maneuver, Harris is now on track to collect a $202,000 salary from the township, plus $54,000 in expenses.
Now, this is crazy. Remember, this is a part-time job, and the salary for this part-time job was $57,000. Now, it's $200,000. And matter of fact, he gets $54,000 for expenses. So, essentially, he's making the salary and expenses, and then they give him an extra $200,000 on top of that. But that's not his only job. Don't forget, he is still a sitting state senator. So he makes another $100,000 for that.
Add in his $123,000 state senate salary, and it brings his total take from two elected positions
to just under $380,000.
For two part-time positions. That's how much he's making. That's an insane amount of money. I wish I could find a part-time job that paid me $250,000 and $123,000 part-time. I would do that job. That's insane. But that shows you how deep the corruption in Illinois goes. This is obviously corruption at the highest level. He's doing it and now doing it at Thornton Township. So here is his response to the whole thing. WGN did a great job. Here's his response.
What these residents have been through and what you campaigned on don't give me the time, man. Come on. Given what these residents have been through, do you think it's a good look for you to do some of the same stuff that you were critical of?
I was not critical of anything, man.
You weren't critical of Tiffany Henyard's reign?
I've never publicly despised anybody publicly. What I've done was, and I've stated this, I'm about doing the right thing and supporting what the people needs of Thornton Township, and I've done that. For you to say and sit here and suggest that anything has been improper or done wrong is not a fair assessment of what's happening.
And he's right. Everything he's doing is legal. He's not doing anything illegal. He's playing the system as he is. But that's the problem. The problem is none of this stuff is ethical. It's not ethical for him to get this $200,000 a year for a part-time job in a poor neighborhood, right? He's filling his pockets. He's got two part-time jobs that are $380,000. He's making more than the governor. He's making more than any of the Supreme Court justices. He's making essentially a huge amount of money on these two part-time jobs. So it's a shame because this is Tiffany Henyard all over again. And everybody sees it. You'd have to be dumb not to see it. And what do you do? What do you do? Because the system up there is broken. But now it seems like we're covering Thornton Township again because they got the male version of Tiffany Henyard now in there lining his pockets. You know, that's a huge $250 for a part-time job? Like, really? It never ends. And you go there and you tell these people, hey, you're voting Democrat. And as you can see, they're all corrupt. It's corrupt after corruption after corruption after corruption. You say, why not try something different with voting a Republican? And they are not listening to. They'd rather vote in another corrupt Democrat to stay and complain about them stealing the money. The Democrats are stealing all our money. They say, well, hey, vote for the Republican. Try something new. Nah. We don't want the Republicans. Well, now you got another crook. You know, and I will give it to Napoleon Harris. He's slick with it. He's dotting the T's, crossing the I's. But at the end of the day, the new boss is the same as the old boss. Their pockets are fat while the community suffers. So at the end of the day, the new boss is the same as the old boss. Welcome to Thornton Township in Illinois. My name is Nate the Lawyer. Don't forget, like, share, subscribe. If you're listening to me at this point in the video and you haven't subscribed or liked or shared the video, you know, what's going on? Now, obviously, you watched it to the end. My name is Nate the Lawyer. I'm out. Peace.